theme in recent weeks. As to the return of the National Hockey League, heck, for 15 years.
My name is Scott Brown. I am the Director of Corporate Communications for True North Sports and Entertainment. I'd like to thank those of you here today at MTS Center for joining us, and would also like to thank those of you tuning in live across the city, across the province, and across the country, on either television, radio, or streaming live on the internet. Today's announcement is one that many have been waiting for with great anticipation for the past 16 years, and I think the last 12 days have demonstrated that in some very vivid detail. True North Sports and Entertainment has long maintained that our goal as an organization has been to bring the best entertainment the world has to offer to this province, whether it be the best in the music industry or the highest caliber of athlete in the world of sports. Since MTS Center opened in November of 2004, the citizens of this province and this city have made it one of the most popular facilities in Canada, North America, and in the world. We hope today that we are offering them another reason to make it so. The organization is thankful for the public's support. We have invested in this community in the past, and now, once again, we plan to do so for the future. But at the same time, we are asking the community to invest in that future along with us. Today marks the most significant announcement thus far as it relates to the city of Winnipeg, the province of Manitoba, True North Sports and Entertainment, and the National Hockey League. To make that announcement, I'd like to call upon the chairman of the board of True North Sports and Entertainment, Mr. Mark Chipman.
Thank you for joining us. In the spring of 1995, I was very fortunate to become closely involved with our community's efforts to save our NHL team. I came away from that experience with a deep sense of disappointment, but also the realization that our lack of success was not anyone's fault. Rather, after 17 years, the economics of our city and the NHL were no longer compatible. While the loss of the Winnipeg Jets in many ways had a profound effect on the psyche of our city and province, I believe it also stiffened our resolve to press on and jointly move our community forward. One of the ways our family joined in that effort was through the investment in what was then the very next best level of hockey available in North America, with a commitment to run the Manitoba Moose Hockey Club to the greatest extent possible, as though we were still in the NHL. With the support of a fantastic group of sponsors and Moose fans, we were able to quickly gain an understanding of the business of professional hockey and turn our attention to the dream of building a new facility in downtown Winnipeg. In 1999, we took the first steps toward making that dream a reality, and in 2001, we entered into what would become an incredible partnership with David Thompson, who embraced the vision we had for downtown Winnipeg. We were joined in that effort by a number of like-minded Manitobans, and with the support of the city, the province, and our federal government, we opened the doors of the MTS Center in November of 2004. At the same time, the National Hockey League was engaged in an exhaustive effort to correct the underlying economics of its business model. A few years prior, I had met and began to establish a relationship with Gary Bettman through my involvement in the merger of the International American Hockey League. Although I suspect he may not recall it, I remember telling him at that time that I expected our city would one day again take membership in the NHL. I continued to make that point at every opportunity and was always given a thoughtful response. Finally, in 2007, we were asked to make a presentation to the Executive Committee of the Board of Governors on how and why we felt an NHL team could succeed in Manitoba. With the assistance of a number of other Canadian NHL teams, we developed a very thorough understanding of the modern economics of the game. The pursuit of that knowledge has never stopped. Throughout that process, our relationship with Gary and his team at the NHL continued to develop, and I believe a high level of trust was established. And two other very significant series of developments occurred over that same 15-year continuum. Firstly, our community continued to invest in itself, and as a result, has been able to move forward on many levels, notably against the same economic headwinds that brought the rest of the world to a standstill. And secondly, during that time, our organization grew up, and it matured, and in my humble opinion, has long since operated at an NHL standard. In fact, over the years, Many of our Moose staff, our trainers, our coaches and players, including several that will compete for this year's Stanley Cup, have been called up to pursue their NHL dreams. It's also always caused us to ponder what it might feel like if one day our organization might receive that same call. Today, on behalf of my family, our partner David Thompson, and our entire organization, I am excited beyond words to announce our purchase of the Atlanta Thrashers. Scrutinize our community's capacity to be a stable and productive member of the league. Later this morning, you will also hear from our President Jim Ludlow, who will explain in detail the process that we believe will ensure our ability to satisfy the league's interests. Allow me to say that I personally have no reservation in this community's ability to do so. Before you hear from Mr. Bittman, allow me to take this opportunity to thank several individuals who have played a vital role in the extraordinary effort that was necessary to bring us to this day. As I hope you can appreciate, transactions of this nature are very complicated and require a team of highly skilled and passionate professionals that are apparently willing to work right through the night. In that regard, we've been blessed to work with Carmel Peter, Rob Lee, and Brian Lerner from Aikens, together with Lawrence Zucker and Len Pace of Osmington, and Brad Peacock from McGill-Stevenson. As well, we've had the benefit of the skill and knowledge of our own Jim Ludlow, John Olford, Norva Riddell, Dorian Morphy, and Scott Brown from True North. And I would especially like to acknowledge the incredible contribution of Mr. Terry Morris of Allen and Company, without whom, frankly, I'm not sure I'd be standing here today. You will also be hearing from Premier Greg Sellinger in a few moments. The Premier has enthusiastically supported the return of the National Hockey League since we first presented the idea to him well over a year ago, and has played a vital role in bringing this possibility to a reality here today. I'd also like to acknowledge Mr. Bruce Levinson of the Atlanta Spirit for the honorable and professional way in which they engaged this transaction. And finally, I wish to thank Mr. Gary Bettman and the entire staff at the National Hockey League, with whom we have worked with over the past several years, for their guidance, trust, and the respect that they have shown us throughout the entire process. I need to also acknowledge my family, who have been, frankly, incredible. And my partner, David Thompson, who has been absolutely steadfast throughout what at times was a very turbulent process. With that, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the Commissioner of the National Hockey League, Mr. Gary Bettman.
Thank you, Mark. Welcome, everyone, this morning, and it is nice to be back in Winnipeg after all these years. I want to start out by thanking Mark Chipman and David Thompson for their patience, their professionalism, their perseverance, and persistence. Mark has been pursuing the NHL, as you heard, for a number of years, quietly and obviously quite effectively. No doubt that this pursuit reflects the passion of our fans in Winnipeg. And while Mark has been working behind the scenes with us over the years, staying in touch, working the process, and keeping the lines of communication open, at the same time, the owners of the Atlanta Thrashers have been looking to sell their club. Over this period of time, no real local purchaser emerged, and ultimately Atlanta's ownership, which has made it clear that they want out, reached outside the Atlanta market. As is obvious by the fact that we're here today, True North and Atlantic Spirit early this morning reached an agreement that would bring the NHL back to the city. To tell you that we, others, were actually actually on a conference call at 4:30 this morning Eastern time, and it wasn't done. This transaction and the club's relocation are, as Mark said, subject to the approval of the NHL Board of Governors, and it is our expectation that this matter will be on the June 21st meeting agenda. As we have said repeatedly, we don't like to move franchises. But sometimes, even if it's been 14 years since the last time we moved the franchise, sometimes we simply have no choice, as it was the case back in '96 when the Jets left Winnipeg. At that time, and for a variety of reasons we don't have to go into today, no one at that time simply wanted to own the Jets any longer in Winnipeg. To our fans in Atlanta, we are not happy about it leaving Atlanta. Please be assured it was never about whether Winnipeg is better than Atlanta. The decision to come to Winnipeg was made only after Atlanta's ownership made the decision that they were going to sell, even if it meant the club was going to leave Atlanta. So with that decision made, it is clear that times have changed for Winnipeg as an NHL market. In Canada has never been stronger. The NHL has a different economic system that allows these so-called smaller markets to compete. The NHL is coming off another season of record revenues in both Canada and the United States, and our prospects remain extraordinarily bright. This venue, the MTS Center, will be a fine venue for an NHL club.
That's hilarious.
Prospective ownership group.
Pretty excited.
We now also, and perhaps this is the most poignant point, we get to be back in a place we wish we hadn't left in 1996. With this background, the best way for our fans here in Winnipeg to celebrate the opportunity is to buy season tickets. Selling season tickets, selling 13,000 season tickets, is the best message to send to the NHL Board of Governors before they meet on June 21st. And to be candid, this isn't going to work very well unless this building is sold out every night. There is no doubt that NHL hockey has tremendous support here, and we know we've had tremendous fans in Atlanta. The fans in both cities have been through a lot the past several weeks, and hopefully everyone is now in a position to move forward. I certainly will be happy to take questions later. I'm going to turn things over to Jim Ludlow, but again, thank you all for being here today.